Right. So we're diving into these decentralized autonomous organizations.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those online groups pooling money together online
Yeah.
to like make things happen.
Right.
But here's the question.
Okay.
What happens when they need to hire someone outside the group? How do they make sure that person doesn't just take off with all the funds?
That's a good question.
That's what we're looking at today.
Interesting.
It's a fascinating challenge.
It is.
Especially because these organizations are built on trust and transparency.
Right.
So how do you even bring those values into like the legal world where things can get a little more complicated?
Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, we've got attorney Mitch Jackson to help us out here.
Okay.
He recently posted on the Blue Sky platform about this whole issue.
Got it.
And he's not even like a cryptocurrency advocate.
Interesting.
But he's got some really practical advice for these decentralized autonomous organizations.
I see.
One of the biggest things I got from his post was how important it is to have legally binding agreements.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He actually proposes this specific type of contract.
Okay.
It's called a Decentralized Autonomous Organization Fund Distribution Agreement.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Or DFDA.
Okay, much easier.
And get this, he outlines 11 key provisions.
11.
That every decentralized autonomous organization should think about.
All right, I'm ready.
11 provisions.
Wow.
That does seem pretty thorough, but I guess in this world where it's so decentralized, you can't be too careful, right?
Absolutely.
Jackson really stresses how all these provisions are about creating a framework for both the decentralized autonomous organization and the third party they're working with.
Got it.
So it's about accountability and protection for everyone.
That makes sense.
So should we look at the first one?
Let's do it.
Okay. The first one on Jackson's list is the purpose clause.
Okay.
Sounds pretty basic, right?
Yeah, it does.
But it's super important.
Oh, really?
It's like the foundation of the whole agreement.
Okay.
It lays out exactly what the money is for and what the third party has to actually deliver.
Right.
It prevents like misunderstandings and scope creep.
Oh, so like down the line.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So it's like a roadmap for the project.
Yeah.
Making sure everyone's on the same page from the start.
Got it.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's all about clarity
Right.
and setting realistic expectations from day one.
Makes sense.
Now, the next provision, monthly accounting requirement, focuses on transparency.
Okay, transparency.
Yeah. So how does this work?
So basically, the third party has to give the decentralized autonomous organization detailed financial reports every single month.
Oh, wow.
We're talking, the whole 9 yards.
Like itemized stuff.
Itemized breakdowns of expenses, receipts, invoices, like everything.
It's about making sure every penny's accounted for.
Exactly.
Wow. That must really build trust in this decentralized environment.
Oh, it definitely does.
Yeah.
But just being transparent isn't always enough.
Oh, okay.
And that's where the third provision comes in,
which is
audit rights.
So that's about giving the decentralized autonomous organization the power to verify the reports.
Exactly.
So it's like having a watchdog over the finances.
Yeah, like a financial watchdog.
That's cool. The decentralized autonomous organization can even bring in their own auditor.
Right.
To check the books.
Exactly.
And make sure everything's legit.
Yep.
Wow. You don't see that level of scrutiny in like normal business?
No, not really.
It's really unique to these decentralized autonomous organizations.
It is.
And it shows how important accountability is within them.
Absolutely.
And to make sure those financial reports are actually useful. You can compare them.
Right.
We have the reporting standards provision.
Oh.
So this is like setting guidelines for how the financial information is shown. Consistent reporting standards. So the decentralized autonomous organization can easily keep track of spending.
Yeah.
Compare performance over time and see any red flags.
Exactly.
It's about making the data actually useful.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about making sure the third party actually delivers on their promises? That's where milestones and deliverables come in.
You got it.
This provision ties payments to specific achievements.
Okay.
So instead of just handing over a lump sum up front, payments are made in stages as the third party hits those milestones.
I see.
So it's like breaking a huge project into smaller pieces.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And the decentralized autonomous organization only pays when each piece is done.
Exactly.
It protects them from losing all their money if the third party doesn't come through.
That makes sense.
And to boost that trust even more, Jackson includes the transparency clause.
Got it.
So this one is about keeping everyone in the loop.
Absolutely. This provision requires the third party to share information with the decentralized autonomous organization members about how the funds are being used.
Got it. So it's about openness and collaboration.
Exactly.
So it's not just giving reports.
Right.
It's about everyone feeling involved in the project.
Exactly.
You're right. Now, we can't forget about when things go wrong.
Sure.
That's where the remedy and reimbursement clause comes in.
Okay.
So this is about what happens if the agreement is broken.
Yeah, like a backup plan.
Right.
Exactly.
It outlines the steps the decentralized autonomous organization can take to get their money back.
Right.
Or stop payments.
Yeah.
If the third party doesn't do what they're supposed to.
Got it.
It's like an insurance policy to reduce financial risk.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, the safety net.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a safety net, just in case things go south.
Right.
But, even with the best of intentions, sometimes you disagree.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why Jackson includes this dispute resolution provision.
Oh, so this is about finding a way to work things out.
Right.
Without going to court and spending a ton of money and time.
Exactly. It outlines a clear process for resolving these disputes, maybe through mediation or arbitration.
Yeah.
It's about finding a solution that works and is affordable.
So you can keep the project moving?
Exactly.
So it's built-in conflict resolution.
Exactly.
And then there's termination for cause.
Right. That gives the decentralized autonomous organization the right to end the agreement,
If the other party isn't holding up their end of the bargain.
Yeah, if they're not meeting their obligations.
Right. It prevents them from being stuck in a bad deal.
Exactly. And lets them find a better partner.
Right. So we've got provisions for accountability, transparency, dispute resolution.
Right.
And even ending the agreement.
Termination.
Right. But what about the actual legal framework?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
The whole agreement.
Yeah.
That seems pretty important, especially when you're dealing with this global decentralized network.
Absolutely. And that's where governing law and jurisdiction comes in.
Okay.
It says which legal system the agreement falls under.
Right.
So it can actually be enforced.
Right.
Even if the decentralized autonomous organization and the third party are in different countries.
So no more jurisdictional limbo.
Exactly.
That brings us to the last one on Jackson's list.
Okay.
Indemnity and hold harmless clause. That sounds complicated.
Yeah, a little bit, but...
What does it mean, like in plain English?
Okay, so think of it like a shield.
For the decentralized autonomous organization.
Right. It protects them from being held responsible for what the third party does.
Oh, okay.
So let's say the third party messes up and gets sued.
Yeah.
The decentralized autonomous organization isn't automatically liable.
Oh, so it's like extra protection for the decentralized autonomous organization.
Exactly, minimizing their risk.
Wow, we've talked about a lot today.
We have.
11 provisions.
That's a lot.
That's a pretty solid framework for protecting a decentralized autonomous organization's money, right?
It is. It really shows you how complex it is to operate in a decentralized space.
Yeah, for sure.
But here's what I find really interesting.
Okay.
Jackson makes it clear that these principles are, clear agreements and reducing risk. They aren't just for decentralized autonomous organizations.
Oh, really?
They're important for any business deal, especially now with things becoming more decentralized.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it seems like transparency, accountability, and well-defined agreements.
Yeah.
They're becoming even more crucial as we move toward this decentralized future.
It's true.
Whether you're a traditional company or a decentralized group, you need clear communication, trust, and legal protection.
It's all about setting expectations, minimizing risk, and ensuring a successful collaboration.
Absolutely.
This whole conversation has really got me thinking.
Okay, about
the bigger picture of these decentralized autonomous organizations. We're talking about a huge change in how we organize and make decisions.
Yeah, it's a huge shift.
It's happening right now.
It is, and these decentralized autonomous organizations are just one example.
Yeah.
We're also seeing it with blockchain, the sharing economy, even how we consume information.
It's like we're moving away from these top-down structures and going toward this distributed collaborative model.
Exactly.
And that affects everything.
Oh, yeah. Governance, finance, how we interact creatively.
It's exciting, but also a little scary.
I know, right?
Like, how do we navigate this new world?
Yeah.
How do we make sure these decentralized systems are fair and accountable?
Those are the questions we need to be asking.
Yeah.
And I think part of the answer is developing clear agreements and frameworks.
Okay.
Like the ones we've been discussing, so we can guide our actions and protect ourselves.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the social and legal structures around it.
Exactly. Technology is just a tool. And any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
Sure.
It's up to us to decide how we use it.
And to make sure it benefits humanity.
Right.
It's a lot to think about, but it's also inspiring.
It is.
We're seeing the start of something totally new.
A new era.
And it's up to us to create a future that's decentralized and just...
a future worth fighting for.
You know, one thing that struck me about Mitch Jackson's post was that he said he's not a cryptocurrency advocate.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think he felt he needed to say that?
That's a good question. I think it shows how divided people are about decentralized tech.
Especially crypto.
Especially crypto. You're either all in or totally against it by saying he's neutral. Jackson comes across as an objective expert.
Right.
Like his advice is practical, not based on some ideology.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's focused on protecting the decentralized autonomous organizations' assets.
Right.
No matter what he personally thinks about crypto.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's really important for this discussion. We need to move past the hype and focus on what these technologies actually mean in the real world.
Right.
How can we use them to solve problems, create opportunities, and build a better future?
And how can we do all that ethically and sustainably?
Those are the big questions that will define this era.
You know, as we get deeper into these decentralized autonomous organizations, I keep coming back to the fact that they govern themselves.
Right.
They have to come up with their own rules, their own processes.
Oh, it's amazing.
To ensure accountability and prevent abuse.
Oh, it really is like an experiment in self-organization.
Totally.
And it reminds us that technology alone can't solve everything.
Right.
We need collaboration, transparency, and accountability if we want a truly decentralized and equitable future.
It's a lot to ask, but it's worth it.
Absolutely.
So to our listeners out there, we'll leave you with this.
Okay.
What other safeguards do you think are important for decentralized autonomous organization agreements?
Good question.
What can we learn from traditional legal systems as we navigate this new landscape?
Yeah, I keep thinking about it.
Let's keep this conversation going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating challenge.
It is.
Thinking about how these decentralized autonomous organizations can create a system that works for them.
Right, because they're essentially self-governing.
Exactly.
It's like they're building a ship while they're already at sea.
Wow.
No blueprint, no one to tell them what to do. They have to figure out their own navigation system, their own rules, and how to stay afloat.
Yeah, and it's not just about the technical stuff either, is it?
No, definitely not.
It's about human nature.
Exactly.
How do you build trust among a group of people who might never even meet face to face?
That's the really interesting part.
It is.
We're talking about brand new ways of governing, making decisions together, and making sure everyone's accountable.
Wow.
It's like we're creating democracy for the internet age.
And just like with any new system, there are going to be challenges.
Oh, for sure.
How do you stop one person or a small group from taking over?
Right.
How do you protect against bad decisions or people who want to cause harm?
Those are some of the toughest questions facing these decentralized autonomous organizations right now.
Yeah.
And there isn't one simple answer.
Right.
It's going to take a mix of technical solutions, social norms, and legal frameworks.
To make it work.
To create a system that's really strong and can adapt.
So it sounds like we're just at the beginning of figuring all this out.
We are, but that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
We're seeing a new era begin.
Right.
And we have the chance to shape it, to guide it, to make sure it leads to a future that's more fair for everyone.
It's a big responsibility, but it's also an amazing opportunity.
Yep, it really is.
And we have to remember, there's no one right way to do this.
No, there isn't.
What works for one decentralized autonomous organization might not work for another.
Exactly.
It's about finding the right balance.
Between having rules and being flexible, between giving people freedom and making sure everyone takes responsibility.
So we have to accept that it's complex.
We do.
And that there's not one easy answer.
That's right. And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. Yeah. We're at the edge of something totally new and life-changing.
We've covered a lot today.
We have.
From the legal details that these organizations can use to the bigger impact of decentralization.
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing for our listeners is this.
What's that?
No matter if you're a seasoned investor, just curious or just starting to learn about decentralized autonomous organizations, you have to stay informed.
Yeah.
Ask questions and be part of these conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
The future of decentralization is happening now.
It is.
And we can all help create it.
You can.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us, and keep exploring.